Super. Okay. So, as Sabrina mentioned, we are Event Partners Ireland. We are a full service destination management company. We're in operation now over 26 years. So, lots of experience in this area, affiliated with all of the main bodies such as Tourism Ireland, Walter Ireland, and industry bodies such as SITE and IAPCO. We have a staff of 7 people in total working in the DMC department. And what we pride ourselves on is our creativity and how we think differently. Really looking at your requests individually and then tailoring the program and the experience to your end client. So I just have a short video here that I'm going to play, and it'll bring you on a journey through Ireland and showcase some of the events and incentives that we have created over the last couple of years also. So enjoy. So hopefully that has, for people who have been to Ireland before, hope it's stirring up some good memories for you. And for people who haven't been here, hopefully it's given you some inspiration and some ideas of what can be achieved here on the island of Ireland. So today, as I said, I'm going to bring you to we're going to focus on 3 main regions in Ireland for the purpose of this presentation. We'll focus on Dublin, which still remains the number one destination within the country, especially for the DAC market, as we typically find that we're getting 2 to 3 night incentive program requests. So Dublin works really well with the ease of access and the fact that you have the city, but also the surrounding countryside on the doorstep as well. So that still is probably the most popular option with our groups from the DAC region. But also for the purpose of this presentation, we'll focus on Belfast, which is proving very, very popular. And what we've been working very hard with STR on promoting this region of Ireland, of Northern Ireland. And now there is also a direct flight route from Frankfurt straight into Belfast City Airport. So that makes that whole region far more accessible also. And we'll also focus on Cork, which you'll see here at the very bottom of the country in the southwest. Another great city, the food capital of Ireland, let's say, and a really fun destination also. So we'll focus on those 3 regions for the purpose of this destination. So let's get straight into it and we'll dive right into Dublin. Dublin is a very, very cosmopolitan city. It's full of energy, full of youthful talent, young energy, because a lot of the European headquarters of the various tech companies have their offices in Dublin. And that in itself has brought in a lot of, as I said, new talent, youthful energy, and lots of creativity into the city. It's a very walkable destination, very, very easy to get around Dublin City. People sometimes refer to it as a large town as opposed to a capital city. So that's great because you can really get to get your bearings really quickly on a 3-day trip here. We offer experiences titled What's Your Passion for our incentive groups. So that's basically depending on what the individual in your group is looking for, whether that's a passion in music, a passion in literature, a passion in sport. We can offer activities tailored to those individual passions, and then smaller groups can break out into smaller groups to do these experiences. We also focus on things that are popular, but also we put our own twist on them. So you might see in the top left-hand corner there a pint of Guinness, and you might recognize my own face as sitting at the very top of the pint. So again, this is something fun that we do for our incentive programs, where your guests can come in, they can actually have their face put on the top of a pint of Guinness, which is a really novel and really fun experience for them to enjoy. We can also do this for your company. So if you have the company logo, if you're doing an evening event, for instance, in the Guinness Storehouse, we can have the company logo provided in advance to Guinness, and they can have them on top of the pint for you. So really, depending on what you're interested, even if that's making soap in the shape of sheep, as you'll see in the top middle section also, or going around Dublin on a vintage tea coach and having afternoon tea. There's lots on offer, even like flash mobs where you learn how to Irish dance. So we can really tailor the experience to your individual needs. But I'll focus on 3 main activities that prove very, very popular for us in Dublin City with our incentive groups. One being a food trail, so Eat the Streets of Dublin. This is a 2.5-hour stroll around Dublin City where we meet with independent food providers, and you really get to taste and experience what the food scene is like here in the city. You stop at about 5 or 6 different stores. You meet with the owners, you meet with the people who are really setting the scene in the food industry in Ireland, and you do some tastings along the way. So it's a really, really great way of getting to know the city, seeing really how walkable everything is and how close by everything is, but also keeping your taste buds entertained as you go along as well. We typically do 12 people per group on the food trail, but there's numerous guides available, and we can also have German-speaking guides for this experience also. Another activity that proves really popular for us is a day trip out to Howth. So Howth is a fishing village on the north of Dublin City. The great thing about Howth is that it's very close to Dublin Airport. So it can be a great option if you want to stop into Howth on the way into the city and get your group out onto the cliffs and just a little bit of fresh air, just to kickstart that program. With something fresh. Sometimes people forget that Dublin is surrounded by this fabulous bay, so it's great to be able to showcase that as well. You can also do it throughout the program and bring your group out here for a full day experience. Say, for instance, you had a group of 90 people, you could break them up into 3 groups of 30, and you could have 3 groups doing 3 different activities. So, for instance, one group could be learning how to cook in the castle out at Howth. One group could be learning how to play the Irish sport of hurling, which is the fastest ball game in the world. And you could have another group out doing a hike around the cliffs. What we've done here in Howth as well to enhance this experience is to have pop-ups along the way. So for instance, on the cliff walk, you'll be walking along, and next thing you will see an oyster station and a champagne station, and you will have a local chef there shucking oysters, and giving people like a small refreshment, and it just really works very well to enhance that overall experience. You can see here as well, you can transfer to Howth by boat, and then maybe go back by coach, or vice versa, go out by coach and then travel back by private ferry, or we can do speedboats out to Howth also. So it's, as I said, a really lovely way of discovering Dublin Bay. The next activity on our slide here is the Windmill Lane Recording Studios. So Windmill Lane Recording Studios is really a hidden gem here in Dublin City. It's home to music production in Ireland. It's where Bono and U2 would have recorded their first ever album, and so many Irish and international acts have recorded music in the recording studios. So you come in, you get your VIP behind the stage pass. You learn all about the musical acts that have recorded in the studios and hear loads of really interesting tales and facts and hear some fantastic music. But you also have the opportunity then to record your own track. This is typically a 3-hour group activity, and we can do numbers up to 90 people in the studios also. It's great as well if you have a conference taking place in Ireland and you want to maybe create, the intro theme tune to the conference, and that can be played in the conference hall before it begins. It's something that will live on forever after your trip to Ireland. So it really is very unique, very special, very engaging, and something that people remember for a long time to come. So it's definitely one of those experiences I would highly recommend. Accommodation wise, there is no shortage of options here in Dublin City. I've highlighted the Hard Rock Hotel purely because it ties in really well with the Windmill Lane experience. So really building on that musical theme. It's a really fantastic Hard Rock Hotel. It opened in Dublin just before the pandemic, so at the end of 2019. And it's situated in a great part of the city. It's right between Temple Bar and Dublin Castle. So you really have that the youthful side on with Temple Bar, the fun side, but also the historic side then with Dublin Castle and City Hall directly across the road. So really definitely a lovely 4-star option to keep in mind for your groups. But we also have all of the larger brands like Marriott and Hilton to your smaller, more boutique independent options, and with varying price ranges. So EPI are more than happy to do the groundwork on your behalf to get you the best offer across any of the hotels in the city. Then some of the evening events and evening venues that we have here on offer. So like any incentive destination, we have our libraries, our breweries, our cathedrals, our castles, to use as gala dinner venues or awards evenings. But it's really how we enhance that and how we elevate that experience that really brings these venues to life. So for this incentive program, they had their gala dinner at Christchurch Cathedral. So beforehand, we brought them underneath the cathedral into the crypt where we did a drinks reception, and then up into the main nave of the cathedral and got everybody seated in the long trestle tables before bringing in the Dublin Army Pipe Band. And this was the first time the pipe band had ever played outside of a state event. So it was very, very special. You might see them standing all lined up on front of the altar. They played some amazing music for the group, and it was a very, very special moment. We also brought in a Nuna. So you'll see the ladies here in the cloaks holding the candles. These are the singers from Riverdance, which some of you might be aware of, that haunting music that begins before the dancers start the river dance. So they work really, really well in a venue like Christchurch Cathedral. So these are just some ways we can enhance that experience. Another really fun event that we did was the Downton Abbey experience in Adair Manor in County Limerick. So what we did for this client was we transformed the ballroom in Adair Manor, which is one of the top 5-star castle properties in Ireland, into a Downton Abbey experience. So basically we sourced the crockery, we sourced everything back to the 1920s era, the costumes, no stone was left unturned. And people actually, when they arrived to the manor, we had created you'll see up here in the top left-hand corner, dressing rooms where they could come in, they could try on their outfits and really get ready for their Downton Abbey experience taking place that evening. So I have a short video just to show the creativity that went into this and the behind the scenes work that was done to make this evening come to life. So then moving outside of Dublin, as I mentioned, some of the regions like Belfast and Cork, you can offer this as a separate program, or we can also, if you have a longer program, say 4 to 5 nights, we can do a dual experience where you might do 2 nights in Dublin and 2 nights in Belfast, or 3 nights Dublin, 2 nights Cork. But the great thing about moving from one region to another in Ireland is that it's never too far away, and we always like to make it part of the experience. So, for instance, here for a group, we brought on some musical hitchhikers who would entertain the group as they traveled from one region in Ireland to the other. And we had a piper meet the group at the station and pipe them on to the train. And then we bring catering on board. And have decals on the window with the company logo, and just make it their express, I suppose, and have that completely private for the group. So it's very much part of the incentive experience. It doesn't feel like you're traveling for an hour or 2 hours to get to the next destination. It's very much part of the overall experience. So the next region I do want to speak about is Belfast and Northern Ireland. So Belfast it's 2 hours and 15 minutes from Dublin by coach or train. And as I mentioned, there is direct flight access now from Frankfurt into Belfast City Airport, which is really opening up that region very much for the DAC market. It's a very, very interesting city. It's very resilient. It's very much emerging. And as I said, together with STR, we are heavily promoting this as well, because there's so much potential here as a MICE destination. It has so much living history in the city, from the political side of during the Troubles. And we really we don't shy away from this. We really talk to people about it. The people of Belfast want to talk to people about it as well. And you'll see here an image here of the black taxi and the mural. So there's really some very interesting paintings and murals on the walls in Belfast depicting the political history and what happened during the Troubles. And what we can do is we can bring groups in smaller groups in these black taxis around the city, learning all about what happened during that time, hearing from their driver about their first-hand experience. And a lot of the time when people get into the black taxi, they don't know if they're going to get in with a Protestant driver or a Catholic driver. So they get two different perspectives of what went on during that time, which really gives way for a very interesting conversation to happen between your group afterwards. What we've also done in the past with groups is we've brought in an ex-political prisoner and an ex-British Army soldier to meet with the group and have a lunch and learn, and just giving people the opportunity to ask some questions that they might not have known the answer to before, or just it creates a really intimate environment where they feel comfortable to ask some of the questions about the Troubles that happened in Northern Ireland, and the peace process as it stands today. So very, very interesting city. But outside of the city also, there is amazing natural coastline, and we have some natural wonders of the world to be found up in Northern Ireland also. They include the Giant's Causeway and the Carrick-a-Reid Rope Bridge. So the whole North Antrim coastline is really, really dramatic, really breathtaking scenery, and only 1 hour north of Belfast City. So you could easily do this on a full day trip as well. In the past, on the Giant's Causeway, we have had musicians sitting down on the rocks as a surprise for when people come down to the causeway. We've had literally whiskey on the rocks as well, where they'd get to taste Bushmills whiskey, which is a local distillery very close to the causeway. So lots of different ways that you can enhance that experience also. In the city as well, let's not forget about Titanic, which is a huge part of the city's history and the city's identity, I suppose. There is a Titanic region, excuse me, or a Titanic quarter dedicated purely to everything Titanic. The museum itself is really, really interactive. It tells the whole story about how Titanic was built in Belfast by Harland and Wolff ship makers. You can do the experience walking through the galleries and learning all about everything about the ship, from its from when it left, from when it was made there to when it left. But you can also use Titanic as a great gala dinner venue also. You have the Nomadic here also, which was the passenger ship for the first class passengers getting onto Titanic. So this can also be used as an offsite evening venue. And then you also have the wonderful Titanic Hotel, which is located also in the Titanic Quarter. Very, very good option for German groups. It works really, really well. We've used it on previous fam trips, and you're getting really, really good value for money in Belfast and Northern Ireland. So an average 4-star room rate you could be looking at in and around the region of 185 bed and breakfast. There's also funding available, which I'll speak a bit more about later on, that you can avail of. But outside of the city, there is also some really fabulous high-end venues. And I just want to make reference to Hillsborough Castle. This is about 20 minutes on the outskirts of Belfast City, and it's a venue that we would use quite regularly for gala dinners. It's the royal residence in Northern Ireland. So when King Charles comes to visit the area, this is his residence for that time, and we have access to the drawing rooms in here where we can do gala dinners for up to about 120 people. So it's a really, really lovely venue with really, really nice gardens also for drinks receptions during the summer months. And then I'm going to bring you straight down to the bottom of Ireland, down to County Cork, which is a really, really fun county, really, really great city. It's the largest county in Ireland. From Dublin, it's 2 hours, 30 minutes by train or 3 hours by coach. But as I mentioned, there is direct flight access from Frankfurt into Cork International Airport, and also from Munich during the months between December and March. Cork has so much to offer. It's the culinary capital of Ireland. So down here on the bottom, you'll see some of the characters I've highlighted. So we have Dorina Allen, who works in Ballymaloe Cookery School. And Ballymaloe is really world renowned as being the founder of the slow food movement here in Ireland. They have a cookery school. They have really, as I said, renowned programs that people from all over the world come to learn how to cook here. Recently, they had Kate Winslet, for instance, as one of their students. But we can take groups here to Ballymaloe and do a 1 day or an afternoon cookery class. So it's definitely something to consider for your incentive programs. We also have Pat O'Connell, which is the fishmonger here in the left-hand corner. He can be found in the English market in Cork. So it's one of the best examples of a food market in the city. And when the Queen actually came to visit Ireland, back in, I think it was 2011, there's a very, very famous picture of her meeting with Pat the fishmonger and having such a laugh with him. And there's a really great image that's captured of her like really laughing, which you don't necessarily see that often. So it just goes to show the charm of the people of Cork and the friendly nature, and it's all about engaging with the locals as well. Middleton Distillery is a great offsite venue that we would use for whiskey tasting, but also for dinners. It has recently undergone a huge refurbishment. So it has top of the state-of-the-art facilities, and you can do some really cool cocktail making classes there also. There's some great small villages in Cork. So the colourful village up here is the village of Kinsale. Again, really, really lovely to bring for an afternoon for a walking tour. It also is home to the old Head of Kinsale golf links, which is very, very popular for any golfers in your group. We've done things like an outdoor dining experience, which we closed down a street in the middle of Cork City and used a local provider to do a really special lunch outdoors. And another really fun incentive activity you can do is a maritime treasure hunt on the Atlantic. So basically, when you're in Cork, you're on the Wild Atlantic Way. So going over maybe to an island like Spike Island, which is Ireland's equivalent of Alcatraz. It was an old former prison in Cork, and doing a treasure hunt in rib boats around that is something really, really fun and different that we can arrange also for your groups. In Cork, there's also some fantastic offsite venues like Cork Jail. and the Glucksman Gallery on the grounds of University College Cork. So again, lots of different options here. But really, I suppose the feedback we constantly get from our programs is it's that the people that make the difference. Ireland is known as the land of 100,000 welcomes. So our famous Céad Míle Fáilte, that's hopefully what you will experience, or your group will experience when they come here. It's all about the people that they meet, the stories that people have to tell, and the engagement. From a CSR point of view, then, we always try and work with suppliers who are sustainability or environmentally certified. And we really encourage to reduce, reuse, recycle. So we provide water bottles as part of your welcome gifts with top-up stations. And we really cut down on using paper. So a lot of our communication it's digital, so creating apps, using website for registrations, things like that, and just really trying to support local and using small suppliers to give back to the community. This Airfield Estate is an urban farm actually in Dublin that we're using quite often now also. It's a 38-acre urban farm right in the city of Dublin. And for sustainability and CSR activities, we can bring groups here and they can learn how to compost with the people here on the farm. They can also they also have some cooking facilities, so they can learn how to cook, and we can still do some really fun farm activities with groups like alpaca trekking or geese herding. So it's a very versatile venue and experience, and something that we're using quite a lot more from our sustainability and CSR point of view. And then just to touch on the funding and supports that are available. So Fáilte Ireland and Meeting Ireland are very much, they're our government body that are very much behind the business tourism industry here in Ireland, and can see the benefit of MICE groups coming into the destination and what that can give back to the country as a whole. So they offer some enhancement funding for your group. So once you're bringing in over 50 international delegates, there's a flat fee of €10 per international delegate, up to the maximum of 100,000 per event available. And for site inspections also. So once you're bringing in over 50 people, we can apply for a site inspection fund on your behalf up to €2,000. And that will cover whether it's your hotels, your food while you're here, some of the activities. So it's definitely something to keep in mind and something to avail of, especially if Ireland might be a wildcard option for you. If you put it to your client that there is funding available there to bring them on a site inspection, because we truly believe that seeing is believing. So once you get here and once you meet with the locals and experience it for yourself, that will really add to the conversion. And we can do that on your behalf. So EPI will submit all the forms, fill everything out, and do all that on your behalf. And that is pretty much it, guys. That takes me to the end of the presentation, where we say we hope to see you soon from our friendly sheep. So I will stop sharing now, and we can take any questions that anybody has.
Maybe you can tell us, Ciara, what's the best, if you can say in Ireland, the best travel period?
The best travel period, to be honest, any time between March and October is really the best time to travel in Ireland. No, from a MICE perspective, our busiest time is typically April, May, and September, October. They're our busiest months. June, July, and August then are typically summer holidays. So rates can be a little bit higher during that time. So maybe just outside of that, April, May, September, October.
Okay.
And maybe some the best.
Roughly rates for a 4-star or 5-star hotel in Dublin?
Yeah, so 4-star
like
hotels.
Let's say.
Yeah, so for 4-star hotels in Dublin, you're looking at anywhere between €250 to €295 bed and breakfast on average. And then 5-star rates, it could be anything from €420 to €650, really, or €420, €550 if you want to keep it more in and around those months that I mentioned. But we have, as I said, as I mentioned in the initial part of the presentation, we're in operation now over 26 years. So we have some really, really strong relationships with our industry partners, and we'll really work on your behalf to get you that best and most competitive rate possible. So use our purchasing power is what I'd say, and we'll definitely get you the rates the most competitive rates.
And Belfast in comparison, I know you don't have the euro there, but like in comparison price wise?
Yeah, so in Belfast, it's much more probably cost effective in Belfast. So for 4 stars, you're looking at in and around maybe £180 bed and breakfast. And then for 5-star, you could get a 5-star for £300 in Belfast. We've gotten rates for. So definitely there's more potential for your budget to stretch a lot further in Belfast at the moment, because I suppose it is probably more of an up and coming destination as well. So they are ready for the business. So there's definitely a lot of negotiation that we can do there as well on your behalf.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.